Everyone, welcome back to my channel and the continuation of my sleep token analysis and discussion series. This is part 6, which is Ascensionism. This is obviously one of the longer songs on their album, clocking in at around 7 minutes. So sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy the ride. We are going to go in. I'm already emotional. Just that isolated piano on its own is so beautiful.
Well, I know what you want from me. You want someone to be. Your reflection, your bitter deception, setting you free. So you take what you want, then leave. Who made you like this? Who encrypted your dark gospel in body language? Synapses snap back in blissful language. Tell me you met me in past lives, past light, past what might be eating me from the inside, darling. Half algorithm, half deity, glitches in the code, or gaps in a strange dream. Tell me you guessed my future and it mapped onto your fantasy. Tell me into your mannequin and I'll turn you into my puppetry. Won't you come and dance in the dark with me? Show me what you are. I am desperate to know. Nobody better than the perfect enemy. Digital demons make the night feel heavenly.
First time I heard this, that kind of okay, words, Saph, sentences, put them in some. I love this song so much, like, just fantastic. But the way that he moves from that kind of very isolated piano and vocal into that kind of smoother kind of R&B style, just there's nothing this band can't do.
Lipstick, chemtrails, red flags, pink nails, with one eye on the door, other eye on a rail, other eye following a scar.
I'm just gonna pause it there for a second because that bit always gets me so choked up. Like, it just feels so hopeful. It's just beautiful. Ow. Yes. I hit my mic. I'm so sorry.
I know what you want from me. You want the same as me. My redemption, eternal ascension, setting me free. So I'll take what I want, then leave.
That is a ride of a song. That is a ride of a song. So, okay, before I actually go into the meaning for me personally, same. I've never been like huge on auto tune or as Monster's saying, that kind of grime sort of feel. Um it's not my chosen genre as most people know. But for that uh, that is just mm. So this is one that I had a lot to say about because it is so layered and so again words, Saph, sentences would help. The first thing to note is that Ascensionism is actually a thing. It's a sort of religious movement with a very deep rooted base in what's known as transhumanism. Transhumanism is the belief that humanity should use any possibility for sort of self-modification to better their bodies, their minds and lives through technology, cybernetics, genetic engineering, all of that kind of thing. This actually for me ties into Aquaresia, the lyrics "These days I'm a circuit board, integrated hardware you cannot afford." Trying to say that without singing it is hard, people. Um What's interesting to me is that Ascensionists is what Ascensionists believe in, and that is that there are two spirits that make up a person: the physical body and the ethereal soul. And that souls are just reincarnated time and time and time again until they reach a point of self-judgment, at which point, once they've kind of deemed themselves worthy almost, they destroy themselves, and that destruction forms a new soul. Very cyclical. That actually links so well with this album, where you see two very distinct spirits in a constant internal war. The body mind is saying that he knows the relationship is no good. There's too much toxic, abusive behavior from potentially at this point both sides. Looking at Vor here. And that his soul or his heart is saying that he still believes he can make that other person change for the better, love him, want him in the same way he wants them. Another point to make, which actually ties in very well with a certain moment in the song, is that Ascensionists believe that whatever happens to you in this life is deserved due to your actions in a past life, meaning that there is also a justification for their actions towards others, believing that anything they do to someone else is also deserved because of that person's actions in their past lives. Tell me you met me in past lives, past lie, past what might be eating me from the inside. This song opens at such a mournful tone, and I love it. It's so beautiful. He's telling the other person he's figured out what they want now, and it's not a relationship with him. They just wanted something to distract them, something to pass the time with, a fling. It was nothing more to them, even though to him it felt like some divine fate that brought them together and connected them on a deeper level. He feels bitter. He feels like he's been led on, he's been deceived, despite knowing deep down this was always the case, and he tells them to just take what they want and leave. It's obvious at this point he's realizing that the relationship is no good. There's too much toxicity. He knows he needs to walk away from it, but there's still something keeping him stuck with this person. There's still something that's making him feel as though he can work it out with them, whether that's something that's happened to the other person in the past that's making them closed off or indifferent, or whether it's something in the way he's acting that's making them behave the way they are. That's quite apparent in Who Made You Like This, Who Encrypted Your Dark Gospel in Body Language. The use of the word encrypted is actually linking again back to that whole kind of transhumanism idea as well. Now, this part I may be completely wrong about, and it's very dependent on which set of lyrics you have and also what you hear when you listen. I hear algorithm, as does Falcon. Others hear half of a rhythm. If we go with what I've been hearing, which is half algorithm, he says the other person is half algorithm, half deity. They're partly something that solves a problem and partly something absolutely divine to him. And again, we see those references to computing, machinery, technology, also references to him having elevated this person to a godlike status. What's interesting here is that although algorithms are used throughout daily life for multiple things, usually positive and helpful, like I said, problem solving, computing, they run a lot of things in everyday life. There's also a negative side to that, unintended consequences like undermining creativity, choices and opportunities. And I think this is a very deliberately placed lyric, if I'm right. He's saying that while he feels that other person was brought to his life for him to love, and he originally thought they would solve his problems and make his life better, they're actually undermining and almost stifling, see chokehold, his thought processes to the point where he can only think of them and what they want and what they need. If we look at it being half of a rhythm, this was slightly harder for me to interpret, but I did it. In musical terms, a half rhythm is a note that lasts for 2 counts. It's half of one measure, or in terms of time, a half-time beat is one that expands one measure over the course of 2, so that the length of each note is doubled, but the frequency is halved. So this could speak to him feeling that as though the other person is the other half to him, the other part of his beat, the thing that kind of keeps his rhythm in time, and without that he would be lost. He wants the other person to continue using him for what they want. He is theirs to move, pose, dress how they see fit. He's their mannequin, their puppet. He's now got no life of his own. Everything has been given to this other person, and he is being molded into what they want and need, and he's losing his entire sense of self to this relationship. He is absolutely desperate to know this other person, truly know them. Like maybe they're hiding who they really are from him, holding back, not giving themselves to him in the same way he is to them. And even though he feels pain and anguish because of this, it doesn't matter to him. They've become his perfect enemy, his demon. And he's welcoming this. He's saying he can offer them a sort of paradise, perhaps in some kind of digital world away from everything else, which again ties to Vor going where nobody knows. Which brings to mind the lyric from the song Higher for me. I look for scarlet and you look for ultraviolet, two different types of light spectrum. And this is something that kind of gets picked up later on as well. So within this paradise, he sees diamonds in the trees, pentagrams in the night sky. This is one of my favorite lyrics. When I heard that lyric, I was just like, and I didn't know why until I started to kind of, obviously for me, look at the more esoteric meaning behind diamonds with crystal healing and connected it to love and purity, instilling trust and clarity, deepening the bond in a relationship. There's a reason it's the traditional stone for engagement rings. However, as much as diamond can actually amplify energies, you have to be very careful using it in a healing sense because it can amplify the negative as well as the positive. You have to employ other crystals to work alongside it to make sure that everything is balanced, just like with a relationship. You have to make sure that you don't give all of your energies to one person. You have to keep some for your friends, your family, and more importantly, yourself. Otherwise, there's going to be a distinct imbalance, and this theme is highlighted throughout this album. Diamond also corresponds with the crown chakra, which in turn corresponds to the color violet, and also to enlightenment, spirituality, dynamic thoughts, and the very essence of who we are. When this chakra is clear and open, it enables you to see the truth of illusory ideals and self-limiting concepts and allows you to work towards self-awareness. And I think that is very important to consider in the themes of this album. The symbolism of the pentagram is one of protection and further enforces the esoteric nature of the moment in the summoning, the sky above, the earth below. Everything feels connected on a deeper level for him right now, and when he's with this other person, to the point where he will ignore anything glaringly awful, all of the red flags, because he's built them up in his mind to be this perfect enemy, his digital demon that makes the darkness feel just like heaven to him. The part where he speaks about the person's eye being on the door says he knows they've constantly got their focus on the way out. They've got their eye on the door because they're looking for something better to take them away from him. Their other eye follows a scarlet trail, harking back to the blood trails and that blood bond he feels he's got with them, akin to the last drops from the Holy Grail. It's an almost religious experience for him at this point. It brings to mind that third eye connection, the third eye representing a state of enlightenment, again, tying back to the crown chakra, clarity, perception, intuition, and a universal connection. And again, he's feeling as though everything that happens with this person is part of some divine universal plan. It was meant to be. Nothing is going to dissuade him of that fact. The fact that the other eye is following a scarlet trail also links back to that kind of infrared light idea from earlier. They're seeing a connection that's just invisible to others. The section referencing ripped lace, cut glass, blood on the collar feels like an answer to Granite to me, and the crash that we talked about. Ripped clothing, cut glass from the crash itself, blood on the collar from injuries, and he's saying he doesn't want to be questioned, just don't ask. Because being questioned would mean that he has to admit that they argued because he was starting to see the relationship for what it was, and it caused this accident while they were driving. The imagery of being first to the feast, choking on the past, actually kind of gave me Last Supper vibes, the last meal that was said to have been eaten before the crucifixion happened. Perhaps a last chance for him to share something good with this person before metaphorically crucifying them for their behavior towards him and leaving them behind to ascend into what feels like a broken sky, one where things are obscured by clouds. This feels like he's saying that while he knows he needs to leave, his thinking is clouded, obscured by how he feels to this person, and the uncertainty that leaving is actually the right thing to do. The sudden swell of music, the bit that gets me every single time, after that whispered diamonds in the night, diamonds in the trees section, feels almost hopeful, as though he's made his choice and he knows he's going to break through. the scream, "You're going to watch me ascend," it feels so cathartic. It's a release of all that anger and pain and frustration he's felt over this person. He's telling them he's moving on. I'm not under your hold anymore. I am ascending. I am moving on to something better. I am finding freedom, redemption. Now he knows he can take what he wants from this person and leave in much the same way as they've been doing to him. He will use them for what he can get, and finally he acknowledges how they truly make him feel, like he's not important enough to this person to be seen or heard. What he wants and what he needs isn't valid or worthwhile, and he just wants to simply disappear. this this track hit me a little close. This one hit a little close to home for me. I, like many others, I suspect, have been in this position, and a little too recently, with someone that I cared about taking my time and my energy and basically abusing my trust and care for their own gain, while I continued to convince myself that if I was just enough, that they would want to be better and offer me the same level of respect and care that I was giving to them. Spoiler alert, they didn't. It's a really hard place to be in, and it's one that's woven so deeply and beautifully into this album. It's incredibly well done as well. The metaphorical nature of the lyrics, the shifting tones between smooth, almost R&B kind of vibes, and the metal elements towards the end of this song in particular just add the feeling of his attitude shifting, with that realization that he needs to break free. He's got to release himself from this karmic tie and just take to the skies. It's the reason this song gets to me. It is just utterly fantastic. Let me catch up with my chat here, because I think people are saying something very important here. I can definitely relate to that. It took years before me and my ex-wife have been together about 3 or 4 years. Her parents are super devoted Christians, and they actually got upset when I just decided to toss it out, because I was, oh yeah, okay. Dad gave me that look like I'd been hiding something. We love that. It took everything I had to leave that relationship. It does. It really, really does. Trust me, I know. I'd already mentally left around year 8, so I was already done, but needed to work out the leaving the physical side of, yeah, I fully understand that. It's just, yeah, and this is the thing, Blood Owl, and again, this is why this album means as much to me as it does, because I understand that feeling way, way too well. It is so difficult when you give so much to somebody, and not just like a relationship, but even like if it's just a good friend or any kind of relationship. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, but if you just like give and give and give to somebody, and they're constantly taking, and there's that imbalance of power, eventually you're going to end up with so much resentment and hatred, and it hurts. It's really, really painful. The song has so much meaning behind that we can relate to. Yeah, absolutely. I find I can't just listen casually to this band. No, you this is something I'll touch on actually once the album is over with, when I'm kind of talking about it as a more overall sort of thing. It's They are an experience. They're not just It's not just, oh, I'll pick a couple of Sleep Token songs to listen to. You have to listen. You have to listen to it. It's just fantastic. That was Ascensionism. We will move on to Are You Really Okay? Which all right. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in and listening to this episode. We're going to move on to Are You Really Okay, which will be in the playlist. Please come and have a chat with me in the comments about your interpretations of Ascensionism. I would absolutely love to hear them. And until next time, I will see you all very, very soon.